Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Messner here again, and this week we are going to talk about being responsible. Responsibility means doing something because someone's relying on you, or it's someone that someone's asked you to do, or maybe it's something you have to do because your teacher has assigned you some work. Maybe it is helping to take care of a pet, cleaning your room, doing chores around the house. Responsibility is really important, and as you get older, you're going to have more and more responsibility. Sometimes it means being on time or being polite or just doing what you need to do. So I want you to think about the different ways that you show that you're responsible in your life while we read our book of the week. Our book this week is called The Paperboy, and it is written by Dav Pilkey. The paintings are also by Dav Pilkey. And you can see that this book is a Caldecott Honor book. So I'm really excited to share with you this story. It has beautiful illustrations. Some of you, let's see, I think that there still are paper boys. I've seen a car driving really early in the morning in my neighborhood before, throwing newspapers into driveways. But some neighborhoods, I don't know if every neighborhood has paper boys. But there was a time when children often would have a job of waking up very early in the morning and riding out on their bike to deliver newspapers to people's driveways. And so this is a story about a young boy who has this as a job. That kind of job requires a lot of responsibility, and so I want you to think about that as we read the book. The Paperboy by Dav Pilkey. And even in this picture, you can see there's a newspaper truck, and people are loading up the newspapers for the day early in the morning before the sun has even risen, when most of us are fast asleep. Look, now the truck full of newspapers is driving through the wee hours of the morning. Now, you'll notice the man from the truck is delivering stacks of paper, the newspapers, to the Paperboy's house. The mornings of the Paperboy are still dark, and they are always cold, even in the summer. And on these cold mornings, the Paperboy's bed is still warm and is always hard to get out, even for his dog. But they do. So think about that. That's already showing he's responsible. He doesn't want to get out of his warm, cozy bed, but he still gets up when it's still dark out and it's still cold in the morning and gets himself dressed. And softly, they step down the quiet hall, past the door where the Paperboy's father and mother are sleeping, past the door where his sister is asleep. I love how he's being responsible and walking very quietly so he doesn't wake up his family. And down to the kitchen where they eat from their bowls. And out to the garage where they quickly fold their papers, snapping on green rubber bands and placing them in a large red bag. So you can see the stack of papers that the newspaper truck had dropped off earlier. It's hard to ride a bike when you're loaded down with newspapers, but the Paperboy has learned how to do this, and he is good at it. Sometimes being responsible means that you keep trying. So I bet the first time he rode his bike with all those papers, it was really heavy. But he didn't give up. He kept trying because he knew if his job is to deliver the newspapers, he has to get better by practicing riding his bike while carrying all of those heavy newspapers. Sometimes being responsible means you keep trying and keep trying, and you don't give up, even if it's hard at first. The paperboy knows his route by heart, so he doesn't ever think about which house to pedal to. Instead, he is thinking about other things, big things, sometimes small things, and sometimes he is thinking about nothing at all. His dog, too, knows the route by heart. He knows which trees are for sniffing, he knows which bird baths are for drinking, which squirrels are for chasing, and which cats are for growling at. All the world is asleep except for the paperboy and his dog, and this is the time when they are happiest. When I look at these pictures, I think about how peaceful it must be to be riding your bike under the cloak of darkness when everyone else is asleep, and so all you can hear are the sounds of nature and maybe the sound that your tires make as it's rolling down the sidewalk. Oh, this is my favorite page in the book, and maybe you can think about why. But little by little, the world around them wakes up. The stars and the moon fade away, and the skies become orange and pink. And when the paperboy has delivered his last newspaper, he and his dog race home, and his empty red bag flaps behind him in the cold morning air. Soon they are back home. It is still dark inside, but the sounds of morning are all around. His father and mother are awake and talking softly in their bed, and his sister is downstairs watching Saturday morning cartoons. So not only did he wake up early and get out of bed when his bed was warm and the night air was cold, it's a Saturday morning. Saturdays are usually the day that we look forward to sleeping in. It's pretty responsible to wake up early, even on a Saturday morning. He goes back inside his own room. The paperboy pulls down his shade and crawls back into bed, which is still warm. And while all the world is waking up, the paperboy is going back to sleep, and his dog is sleeping too. Their work is done. So being responsible means that you rest after your work is done. And so sometimes we might want to say, oh, this is hard, or this is boring, or I don't want to do this. But if we work hard and we're responsible, we get the job done, and then we can relax and have fun after. Now is the time for dreaming. So, I'm pretty sure that none of you are paperboys. But I bet you there are a lot of things that you do every day that show that you're responsible. It might mean picking out your clothes in the morning, brushing your teeth. It might mean helping with a brother or sister, or feeding your dog, letting your dog or cat outside to use the bathroom. Maybe it means being ready for the bus before it comes, or doing your homework. I know that there are a lot of different ways that everyone can show they're responsible. And the more you practice, the easier it's going to be. So keep on practicing. I'm proud of all of you, and I hope to see you soon.